Dire Straits are a super interesting band. They have this fusion style of like rock, blues, jazz, all sprinkled in together. They've got a brilliant guitarist in Mark Knopfler, and he's also a great songwriter. And the songs I've heard from them so far have been pretty epic. The live performances as well, I will say, almost transform a lot of their music. That Alchemy show that I've seen of theirs was absolutely brilliant. So here we are. This is actually one of their biggest hits. I looked up. It was a large MTV sort of related song at the time. They premiered MTV Europe with this track, and it also features Sting as a part of the introduction to the song. So it's one of the rare tracks that is just not just Mark Knopfler singing on this thing. So let's check out the track. Here we go with Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. Interesting lyric, very dreamy start to the song. This must be the Sting part. Okay. Kind of futuristic stylings to the beginning. Synthesizers, keyboards. Amazing drums. Okay, I like the sound of this already. The kick on that drum is amazing.
Look at them yo-yos, that's the way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV. That ain't working, that's the way you do it. Money for nothing and your chicks for free. Now that ain't working, that's the way you do it. Let me tell you, damn guys ain't dumb. Maybe get a blister on your little finger. Maybe get a blister on your thumb. We got to install microwave ovens, custom kitchen deliveries. We got to move these refrigerators. We got to move these color TVs.
So it's obviously a track directed at maybe like the themes or the type of music maybe that's coming up on MTV a lot. So it's like a almost call out to MTV and maybe a bigger statement about where the music industry was at the time. So this was released in the 80s, where probably what I've learned is that there was a lot of like hedonistic music videos and stuff being shown on MTV. I think that's what he's trying to sort of get at, especially with the chorus. We got to install custom microwaves. So he's talking about the kind of advertisements and stuff that are probably sold. So music has become a product, perhaps. This next line looks very interesting.
Faggot with the earring and the makeup.
Let's back up.
Yeah, buddy. It's a little faggot with the earring and the makeup. Yeah, buddy, that's his own hair. The little faggot got his own jet airplane. The little faggot, he's a millionaire.
Okay, I think we have to speak about this verse. I think this verse would definitely not be something that slides anymore. If I'm making a guess, I don't think they probably play this song ever on radio stations and stuff, because that type of word wouldn't be used anymore. But let's just remove the word for a second. What is he trying to get at with what is he using that word to mean or kind of make fun of maybe is was there a type of person that was going on these shows that he was annoyed with, that is like flaunting a bunch of their money and stuff, earring and the makeup? So is this the era of the big hair and the hair metal bands that I learned about from Kurt Cobain and listening to him, that he was so against? I guess this is Mark Knopfler maybe a couple of years before saying or expressing his kind of anger towards it too. But yeah, this verse would definitely not slide no more.
We got to install microwave oven, custom kitchen deliveries. We got to move these refrigerators. We got to move these color TVs. Move on, move on.
Move on.
Mama, she got it sticking in the cameraman. Oh, we could have some. And he's up there. What's that? Hawaiian noises. He's banging on the bongos like a chimpanzee. Oh, that ain't working. That's the way you do it. Get your.
That's one thing I've noticed about Mark's writing. He's always quite, not always, but he can be very satirical. So he's like trying to make fun of the culture that's existing on these shows. So he's also making the fun of the fact that they're selling this life that, you know, a kid might have this feeling of like, damn, I should have learned how to play the guitar, because what he sees on TV is that if you can play a guitar, play the drums, you get on a band, you got all these girls in these music videos who are now after you. So I think it's trying to allude to that fact. I think hip hop has a huge problem with that, and had a bigger problem with that in a specific era in the 2000s as well. It's interesting. We can talk about that at the end.
Money for nothing, get your chicks for free. We got to install microwave oven, custom kitchen deliveries. We got to move these refrigerators. We got to move these color TVs. Listen here, now, that ain't working. That's the way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV. That ain't working. That's the way you do it. Money for nothing and your chicks for free. Money for nothing. Chicks for free.
Interesting viewpoint he's making the writing on this from. It's like a anti-capitalist maybe viewpoint. Money for nothing and your chicks for free. This is sort of the lifestyle that's sold to kids in this time, right? People throwing away money. Again, to bring it back to hip hop, it's a big era where this was happening, and there was a lot of like real hip hop artists, if you want to call it that, who are attacking these kind of music videos too. It's interesting to see the correlations between rock and hip hop music.
Money for nothing. Chicks for free. Ooh, and money for nothing. Chicks for free. Money for nothing. Chicks for free. All that money for nothing. Chicks for free.
Love the sound of that drum.
Money for nothing.
Snare is tight.
Chicks for free. Look at that. some money.
Okay, I think I'm gonna fade this one out just a little bit. Seems like it's an extended outro type of track. Okay, the 80s in this era seemed super interesting to me because of the fact that I don't understand the hits. This is a big hit. This is like Dire Straits' biggest hit, and I don't recognize that. And that was a problem with that Genesis track I was listening to. Didn't sound like a hit to me. To be completely honest with you, I don't really like the track. It sounds too poppy to me. Bit of a weird song. I think they get fusions right most of the time, but they didn't on this one. Regardless, I think it's a really interesting song, and it's because of the context of the track. Sort of speaking on the glamorous lifestyle and videos and stuff that were probably on MTV at the time. Let's check out when exactly the date was. I think it was 85. Yeah, 85. Okay. Big hits. Let's type this in. Big. Here we go. Big hits. Whoops. In 1985. US. Careless Whisper, George Michael. Like a Virgin, Madonna. Wham was another one. Foreigner was another one. I Feel For You by Shaka Khan. Out of Touch, Daryl Hall and John Oates. Everybody Wants to Rule the World, Money for Nothing. Okay, I'm gonna make a claim here. I think music kind of had an obvious peak in the late 60s and early 70s. I think it's quite blatant to see, right? And all the way up until 75 seems like the output was super strong. Just really top level bands were making their best work at that time. They had the ending of the Beatles and their heyday in the late 60s. The Rolling Stones making their best stuff in the early 70s. Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, all these great bands, Black Sabbath. Then you had a bad period. If you ask me, like the 80s was like a bad period of music. Maybe some people won't like this. Obviously Metallica was around making good stuff. There's the hits in this time I don't really like. The style of music went into this kind of weird mix of like disco and weird synthesizer. Synthesizer seems to be a very heavy part of the 80s sound. A lot of the stuff I don't like. Obviously you have the absence of like Pink Floyd and stuff. They finished up in the 70s with their big best output, I'd say. So maybe, I don't know, I'll let you guys know. The guys who have been through the eras, especially having lived through the 60s and 70s, would you not say that the 80s was a low point in music? And I heard Quentin Tarantino speak about this on the Joe Rogan Experience, that 80s music was and art in general, movies dipped down, and the 90s was it was a sort of revitalization again. But regardless, don't really like the song, not really for me, but I like the point they're trying to make. It's a pretty cool point. And again, in hip hop we see a similar curve kind of happen. The real stuff happening in the beginning, a kind of dire point in the middle, and then some really cool stuff coming out of that again afterwards through artists like Kendrick Lamar and Kanye West and stuff, who came in 2010 and 11, 12. A revitalization happened. So it's interesting, the sort of oscillations of music and art. Regardless, glad you guys watched. Catch you guys in the next video.